Go.
Welcome back to another episode of Endure Athletics Podcast. Today we're joined by Danielle Kovach. She has recently joined our board of directors in the last few months, and she's with Synovus Bank. So first of all, welcome to the show. Glad to see you today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be back.
So today we're going to dive in a little bit more about something that's really important to Danielle, which should be important to all of us, about teaching our kids about financial literacy, why that's important, the lack of it being done in schools, and some of the experiences that you've seen as far as being a banker with young people that don't understand what all that looks like. So and then eventually we'll get you plugged in with our kids, and you can start doing some hands-on stuff once we
I would love that.
once we worked through some things,
Sounds good.
which is part of Endure. So first, tell us a little bit about you, about why you are in the banking and why what you do is important.
Of course. So I started in banking. It wasn't ever something that I anticipated myself being in. My sister was really the one who kind of pushed me to be a banker and was like, I think you'd be great at it. Give it a try. And then when I got into it, I slowly started to see, this is a fun job. It's important.
Yeah.
And I would get a lot of customers that would come in and clients that would come in that were just very down on themselves, and they just really didn't know what they were doing. And these are adults,
Yes.
40s, 50s.
You didn't see me coming in, did I?
I did. I haven't seen you yet.
Don't tell anybody.
But no, and it's sad when you have people coming in and they're just not confident in themselves financially.
Mhm.
And I like to instill the confidence in my customers in any way that I can, help them with budgeting, anything that I can do. And I love that.
I mean, is that the biggest piece, if you will, is just that budget, knowing where your dollars are going, knowing what all that is besides this, your paycheck comes in, bam, it's gone, and you don't even know what's going on.
Yep. That's a huge part of it. Huge part of it.
So I'm 42, I come in and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. What would you do? Let's just lay out the budget as far as like expenses go and all those different things, or what?
So first I like to get a picture of your financial outlook. So I sit down and I don't even talk about the products that we offer or anything like that. I want to get to know you as a person.
Sure.
And I want to know what your goals are, where you see yourself, and what you're looking to accomplish. And a lot of it, especially today, is I want to buy a house or I want to get out of debt.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen young adults in their 30s, maybe even late 20s, saying they've already filed for bankruptcy. And it really just has to deal with, they weren't taught at a young age what finances are, how to budget.
What was their main reason? Like, was it like medical bills? Was it just over their head in cars? Like, what? It seems young, obviously, to inquire so much debt. You have to file for bankruptcy. What do you generally see as the major impact of that?
So it's a lot of different things combined. The biggest thing is credit card debt.
Okay.
And it goes back to living above their means.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where, yes, credit cards, they're great. And it's great to build your credit. And credit is super important and is very easy to destroy, but very hard to build up.
Yeah.
And just because you might have a $500 or $5,000 limit, it doesn't mean that you should be spending that because you are borrowing those funds, you know. And
so
they
it's
just
funny.
feel stuck.
I just paid off. So my wife and I did not have any credit because we were just debt free, and then just setting up future as far as mortgage and blah blah blah, and like, well, get yourself a credit card and just start working a little bit of something. Every time I pay that dude off, they increase my limit. And I'm like, there's the trick, man. There it is. Like, oh, no.
Yep.
You pay it off. Oh, well, we're increase. So.
Yep. It definitely makes it a little bit more attractive. Like, oh, I can borrow more. I can buy more things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I shredded that card a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm done with that thing.
Now, the key thing that is really important, especially when it comes to credit cards, is you always want to keep your oldest credit card open.
Yes.
So you might not use it, but you want to keep it open because that shows how long you've had your credit established for.
You're correct. I didn't close it, but
That's
I
good.
shredded it.
Good. Okay.
And then like a week later, I was like, man, I wish I had that car. I'm
Right.
like, I'm glad I didn't, because I would just use it on something dumb.
I kind of want
You
to
know?
freeze mine.
Yeah.
Just freeze them.
So big thing that you see as
Mhm.
far as that goes. So you just dive in, get the bigger picture of what
Mhm.
they're dealing with. And what is a basic budget? What is that? Like, how much should you save? How much can you still go out and have a good time? Can you enjoy yourself? Does it all, like, what does that look like? Like a generalized budget.
Yeah, so that honestly, it really varies person to person.
Okay.
I'll talk about a scenario that I had. A customer, he had came in and he had tons and tons of loans out there. And basically, he was, as some people will say, he was borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
Sure.
And that's unfortunately what a lot of people think they have to do is they have to, to pay off this bill, I have to get another loan, or to do this, I have to get another loan, or this, that, and the third. And he was in construction and making so much money, but still living paycheck to paycheck. And the reason was because he just wasn't budgeting. He was just, get the check, he'd pay for whatever, and that's it. He never had a baseline, didn't have a savings account, nothing set up. So I actually sat down with him because he originally came in to get another loan.
Okay.
And when you're in the banking business, you can't say, no, we're not giving you a loan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't say that, but I was just like, well, before we do that, let's just look at your picture.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you trying to do? What do you have out there? What do your bills look like? And he was probably in my office for a good 2 hours.
Nice.
And throughout that process, we didn't open anything, but I created an Excel spreadsheet detailing all of his bills, everything that he had. And I think he got paid weekly, and it still showed with him being able to make his payments, paying for his rent, things of that nature. He would still have a remaining of like $200 to be put into a savings account, not including miscellaneous spending that he would have, about maybe $100, $150, I think it came out to. So I was like, if you follow this, you could really get yourself set up with a good savings. You don't have to necessarily get another loan. You just have to, follow this process and it'll happen, and I think there's a lot of issues when it comes to waiting, because Rome wasn't built in a day. So we want everything to be paid off today. We want it all today. We all want it today.
Give me those credit cards, because I want that. I want that.
Yes.
I want that. Oh, I'll get to it. Oh, I'm going to get a raise. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. Like, we can't wait. Like, I mean, I always drive around town and I look at all the storage units. Seems like every other corner, there's a new multi-million-dollar storage unit going on. I'm like, why do these people have all this stuff?
I know.
I mean, you just jam it all up in this storage unit. Like, what's the deal, man?
Right.
So yeah, that's just a separate thing when I drive around. So do you feel when you go through these budgets with your clients, and you lay it all out for them, are they amazed at what's actually left and what they can do with what they have? Did they feel like they won? And here's the other thing: do they keep to it?
So that is one of the hardest questions, is keeping to it. And that's, I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And on it, they're amazed for sure. Definitely amazed.
When they see it, when they actually,
so
the physical action of writing it down or typing it in Excel, seeing it is believing, right? Like, wow, okay, instead of just the talk.
Right.
I know that on my personal side, on my personal finances, and just writing stuff down is like, okay.
I love doing it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Because you see originally a huge balance on something, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is too much. But then when you break it down monthly, like, oh, if I put $200 a month, or if I put $50 a month, I'll get this paid off by, August or whatever. And that's not really the thought, because they instantly think, oh, I have to get this paid off now. Like and interest rates, yes, are high, but I mean, you got to start somewhere. So breaking it down like that and seeing how easy it is in that
to
way,
knock them out.
It really, really helps. And I hope and I pray that they stick to it. And I'll actually follow up. I told that customer, I was just like, I'm going to follow up with you.
I was going to ask.
Okay. I'm going to follow up with you and make sure you're doing this.
Yeah.
And it's just, something to kind of make it light, because a lot of people are embarrassed about their financial situation.
No question. That's the last thing people want to talk about.
Yeah. And it's, I guess the psychology in me kind of helps, to kind of ease the tension and make people more confident to be able to talk about it.
Yeah. Because it's you can see people driving around, and I don't even know what the price of cars are these days. I just
I
read
don't even want
some
to get into it.
stuff,
I need a new car so
and
bad.
they're they're going over
Mhm.
manufacturer suggested price. I
Yep.
mean, like, it's the first time you can sell a used car and make money off it.
Mhm.
I mean, something's crazy going on.
Yep.
Um, but kind of going into that a little bit, let's I just lost my train of thought. As far as vehicles go, as far as transportation goes,
Mhm.
and as far as like the budgetary on that, like if somebody, I mean, do you suggest like, hey man, maybe you can't afford this car? Like maybe you don't need that. Maybe you just need something else, or what? How deep are you able to get with still doing business and doing what you need to do?
Mhm.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
and I get that all the time. Especially, you'll have clients come in and they might have lower credit scores, and every place you go to, there's a minimum credit score requirement
Yeah.
needed for that certain product.
Mhm.
Okay, and again, we can't discourage them, even though they say like I have a 550 credit score. Well, Synovus's or
Yeah.
other banks
It's
have like a 670 as
yeah,
a recommendation for
the
credit
minimum.
cards or certain like that. So I'll say to them, we can put this in today, totally fine. However, want you to know that there are other options out there, and I would be happy to look into those with you.
Okay.
There's secured credit cards. There's now apparently a debit card that you can use that links up to your checking account that helps build your credit up. I don't know too much about that, so I won't touch on
Okay.
it, but I don't just say, no, we can't do this. We're not going to do it, because ultimately they have to make that decision for
Yeah.
themselves. It's just in
It's that-
my job to
yeah,
guide them into
sure.
which direction would be good. And I get it both ways, where they're just like, oh yeah, then we'll just apply for it.
Mhm.
And I'll get others where they're just like, well, what are my other options? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't think I had any other options. And I will go through a web search and just search through different companies, call different companies while they're in my office. And that just adds an extra bonus.
Is everything based on credit score? Is it if there's one key component to what all this is in as far as getting a car, getting a house, those things, is it credit scores, credit scores, credit score?
It really is. Credit score is very, very important. Obviously, it's not the only factor. It looks at, your credit history, making sure you're making your payments. It looks at the length of your credit. It looks at income, but credit score is really a big variable that will determine if you can be lent to. It will determine your rate, as well as, the amount that you can get lent to.
Through it all. So
Yeah.
Good deal, man. So let's dive in a little bit deeper as far as you were talking about 30s, 40-year-olds struggling, and that goes back years, right? They weren't taught years ago when they were kids or young adults. How do we do that? What's lacking in the school systems to be able to dive in and teach these kids what it means like to be responsible for the money that they have, and just a general idea of what a budget is, the good and bad about credit cards, the good and bad about credit. What does that look like right now in the schools?
So when I was growing up,
and you're not too old, so
I know I sound like I'm ancient.
Wasn't back in my day,
right?
right?
But when I was in 4th grade, we had this super cool system to where we had a class store.
Yes.
And how it worked, and I don't even know. I guess I'm not too familiar with the Tennessee school systems, but I don't even know if they still do this anymore. But it was where you had a class store and you had a booklet, okay, and it was like a checkbook.
Yeah.
So if you got an A on a test, you would get points. If you answered a question correctly, you'd get points. If whatever. And then at the end of the month, you would be able to use those points or that money to buy things at your class store.
Yep.
And you had to write down the item that you got, the date, how much it cost, and balance your checkbook. And growing up, I really struggled with math. So it was hard for me,
Yeah.
But it was so fun to do that because you had a limit. You couldn't go above that limit. And you couldn't be like, oh, well, Miss whoever, I have 25 cents, but that costs 50. Can I just still get it? No, you can't, because that's not how the world works. It was 4th grade learning that. And I'm not, a financial guru to where I've made financial mistakes in my life. And thankfully, my family is super supportive. I mean, my sister's an FA. My dad is, He was the guy who always sat down with me during my homework while I was crying, be like, Danielle, it's not that hard. You can do it. And I'm crying, doing math, and but they really helped, and it really does show that it goes back to the parents. The parents are these kids' main support system. So if our adults don't know how to do finances, then how are our kids going to be able to do it? Yes, we can rely on our school system, but we don't 9 times out of 10 know what's really being taught when they're there. So it really goes back to the school system, to the home life.
So what would you teach a young adult about finances? What would you have, like a top 3 or 5 points that you would dive right head in with them?
Yes. And like I said, I geeked out when you told me I could come on,
we got different.
I wrote notes.
I know, different color. I was gonna say it's color coded. It's a whole 9,
right.
man.
Yes, and there really should be a financial course, like Intro to Finance or something. The first thing I would start out with is don't live above your means. Okay. Just because you're making money does not mean you're walking on water. You might not have bills now. Think about what you could do with that money if you had thousands and thousands to come. So you want to portion out your account, your paycheck.
Okay.
You want to put some. I always say you want to have 3 checking accounts.
All right.
Okay, or not 3. I'm sorry, 2 checking accounts and 1 savings account. The reason for that is because fraud. Okay, so especially today's day and age, everyone's very digital, and they want to make payments online or buy clothes online and things like that. So have 1 checking account that is strictly for online purchases. Okay. So you're only using that card. So if it does get compromised,
it doesn't take
from the other one. It doesn't. That's like your main account to where, that's where all your money goes. You can just filter in, like make transfers into the online account. Makes it easy. You could use it for if you have car payments, use it for that. And it's just simple. So then your other account
like
is
those automatic withdrawals to come out
Correct.
of that second account.
Yep.
Okay.
And what I do every week is I will have a Post-it note. I'll write down, okay, I need $800. That goes to my bills. $150. That's for food. $100. That's for gas. And then I'll subtract it all out. Whatever I have remaining goes straight into my savings account. And that's always how I do.
Yeah.
And my dad, he used envelopes growing up.
Yes.
And I know you said it was Dan Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey.
Yeah. We won't give him credit though. We're going to give your dad credit for this one.
This is my sister, she sent me something because she's trying to get me more hip, because I do things very old fashioned when it comes to my money and very detailed. I see you're shaking your head, Trent. Don't make fun of me.
No. He's with us, man.
But I do. So for my food and my gas, I'll break up the money. I'll do withdrawals, and it'll be super small denominations. And I'll have 2 envelopes. And then whatever I don't use for those 2 weeks, then I'll put it straight into my savings account. Because I find that myself, I don't spend money as much as I do swiping a card, because it's just so easy to swipe a card.
It's so true.
It's so
that
easy.
Cash withdrawal, this is what your cash, this is what you have this week, to be able to, we do that as far as our entertainment goes. Like everything else, bills wise, whatever, like here's whatever you get this week for your entertainment, so I can go out and have lunch or do, whatever it is.
Right.
Because that card, it is
so
man.
Easy.
It's easy. It's so easy.
And we all fall to it. It's not, it just happens. It's just convenience. So if there was a way to do it in schools, like give them a budget, let them sort it out, see how long it lasts and what they can buy in different scenarios, it would really, really help.
So my daughter, who's in 4th grade, they went to can't remember this place's name right now. Anyways, they to Nashville. It was a school trip into Nashville, and they got jobs, they got checkbooks, they got to be able to work in the job, what it is to get their paycheck, and all.
Was it like junior achievement?
It's exactly what it was. But so through that, it was their Imagination Town or whatever that's in Nashville. So it was super cool. She had to go and interview for her job, so it was like the whole process wasn't just the money aspect of things, but the job and all those different things, buying food, blah, 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 blah. So it was super cool. I think she actually learned a lot about what that looks like, as far as that financial end of things, and just becoming a young adult one day. I think that the 2 days, excuse me, they spent 2 days there, and it was super cool. So we definitely need more of that. I know every school doesn't do it. but they got a lot of great experience as far as that goes. So super cool. So let me look at my notes here. What else do you got? Credit Karma. I mean, that's what everybody's using nowadays, right?
Everyone uses it, and
so what happens? I pull up my Credit Karma, and I got a 750, and I walk into your bank, and you tell me that I got a 700. Why is that?
And that was what I was going to point out. It's not 100% accurate. So if you have Credit Karma, it is not 100% accurate. Any mortgage lender, because they don't use Credit Karma to base your scores off of it, you know? So it's a good baseline. And what Credit Karma is really good at is showing you which accounts you have out there.
Yes.
So if you log on, you might find out that you have things in collections that you had no idea about. And it's important to look at it from that aspect.
Okay.
It's good to have as a baseline.
And it's free too, right?
It's completely free. Okay. And that's why I like it, because if you're just starting out, you don't really want to pay $25 a month for credit scores or things of that nature. It's good to just get familiar with it. Sure. Yeah. And it shows, your utilization, how many accounts you have out there, if you're making your payments on time, things like that.
All right. Looking through here. I'm looking through all your color coded. I'm on the blue page now. A lot of the stuff where budget, obviously, and then Rome wasn't built in a day. That's one of my favorite quotes as well. Like, hey man, it's gonna take some time with everything, right?
I struggle with it too.
We're in the right now world. We gotta have it now.
Yep.
I want that now. I want that now. I want that now. The fraud we talked about, which you're the first person that's ever really mentioned that as far as those two accounts go. And I do think that is genius, because everything is going online. Very few cash transactions, and even the cash apps and all those other different things. I mean, to have all those in a separate account, I think is really, really, really good. So, what else you got? What am I missing here? What else would you like to add with what we have happening here?
So what I
missed
say,
that page.
Yes,
the green.
The green.
Yeah, money. Is it money green?
I wish it was. No, it's not. But going back into credit cards, starting out, and my sister had called me because I had told her, I was like, I'm talking about financial literacy and why it's important. She was just like, oh my gosh, like, you got to talk about this. You got to, And so what she
What's
mentioned,
her name?
Kristen. Yes. Shout out.
We're she's gonna take care of it now.
Yes.
And she's with Edward Jones.
Yes. She's awesome, and she's about to have a baby.
Oh,
I'm super excited. She's due in May.
All right, right around the corner.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. First child.
First one.
Kristen, congratulations. Boy or girl?
Boy.
Good for you. I got 4 daughters.
He's the first, first
the first grandkid. Oh man, he's gonna be spoiled.
Spoiled rotten.
He's definitely gonna be spoiled.
Oh yeah.
So what did Kristen want to make sure that you spoke about?
Yeah, so she, as far as credit goes, when you get a credit card. So when I first started out, I was 18. I got my first credit card.
First, not even graduated high school, right in the mail. Right. I got them too.
Right in it. And I used it because I think I only had like a $500 balance or something. So I used it strictly for gas.
Okay.
And that's paid it right off. It freaked me out at first because I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to go into debt. And,
I wanted to. I just kept using it.
And that's a
they said no,
mistake.
right? It just comes in the mail. You're like, yeah, man, that's awesome. Got my first credit card. Swiping that dude all over town, man. Till it comes up.
Yep. And that's the big mistake. That's why credit is important to understand. But what she said, and something that parents can do, is to add your child as an authorized user on your credit card.
Okay.
And what that can do is, if you swipe it, or if you let them swipe it, and you're the one paying the bill, it will easily build their credit too. So it goes for them.
Without them having to have a card that they can. Yeah, that's
correct.
Smart too.
So if they're coming out of high school and they have to put a down payment on, an apartment, or they have to get an apartment, a lot of people who you rent to will do a credit check. Make sure that you're in good standing with that. And so that gives them a leg up getting into the world.
What about talking about that when you mentioned college? What about the student loan debt?
Oh, yeah.
Is that, there's a lot of that. How does that affect your score? Because a lot of them are deferred, right? Like incurring all this debt, but they're not paying on it till like, what does that look like?
Student debt is it's a very tricky one.
All right. All right.
I'm thankful that I don't have any right
Yeah.
now, so that's great. But a lot of people do have it, and it
Because you can't file
really-
bankruptcy with it either, can you?
I really don't know
Yeah.
too much about it,
Okay.
but I'm assuming
I
not.
don't think that you can. Trent? Nobody knows.
Yeah, I don't know, but
Nobody knows.
it's very difficult, and that's unfortunately, I mean, how the world is right now. I
Yeah.
mean, you get out of college, you might go to an Ivy League school, and you have all this debt, $70,000 worth of debt, and you're just like, you can't get a job.
Yeah.
You might not be able to get a job, and you have all this debt. That starts, I think, 6 months after you graduate.
Okay.
That's when it starts. And interest can be really high on it. And I mean, I know there's deferment going on to where you can defer it. And some people are saying, I think the administration is trying to get rid of student debt or whatever.
Some of it, yeah, and all this.
Yeah, and it's hard. And unfortunately, the price you pay, and you just have to. I mean, if you borrow it, you got to pay it back. Nothing in this life is free. You got to do it. And I mean, it really just goes back to meeting with, maybe a banker, meeting with a financial advisor or something to kind of help bring that
Figure
down,
out
how you can, because again, the big number is scary, but sometimes the payments might only be $50 and put more towards it so that you pay it off quicker, But if 1 month you can only do $50, then okay, you should be proud of yourself for still paying on it. Never not pay on them, because that will destroy your credit. It will, show that you're missing payments, and your credit will really, really go down.
Good deal, man. Well, I feel that's a lot of good information. We definitely need to pour more into our schools as far as these youngsters go.
Junior achievement is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I was really impressed. With everything coming back home from Bailey and different things. Was super, super, super cool. And I think we need to get you plugged in with our kids one day here. Well, we'll do it this summer.
Okay.
Let's do a summer day that we get you plugged in and do we'll do our own town. Have, that would be super cool. And just, because we go back with the parents, right? And we go back to the guardians and different things. But if we can help, we help with education, we help with, all these other different aspects. And if we can slowly drop a piece in with this financial, with our kids, it's, you don't want to get in too much, right? Because then they're like, they turn around and look, and it's like, oh my goodness. But
just have fun
the credit, yeah, exactly, right? The credit score, the having money in the account, having a job, you don't have to spend it all. That savings and all those other different things, I think, could be really important and can have a lasting impact too. Definitely lasting impact. And our middle schoolers do great, and they're so open to learning and breaking their cycles. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day. So, but anyways, you got anything else? You got all cleaned up today?
I'm not wearing my lumberjack shirt today that I looked like last time. But that is fine.
It was the lumberjack day, man.
It was.
That was the good day for it.
I blame you. You didn't prepare me. Did not prepare me at all.
I don't know. When Janet was on, what'd she say? She went out and got her hair done and done all this stuff. She's like, I thought it was gonna be live, and I'm like, sometimes it is, man. Like, I could have just wore this.
Right.
So, never know what you're gonna get around here.
No.
That's the beauty of indoor athletics, man. It'll change day to day. But
love it.
Danielle, greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for being on the board and helping us work through our finances as we go through our potential capital campaign in 2022 and all these big things that we have going on. So you guys need to check out Danielle. She's with Synovus Bank, and that's out of Smyrna right now. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Check her out. You need something, let her know. She'll be happy to take care of it for you.
Yes.
I believe, right?
Of course. Of course. Anyone who has any financial questions, wants to make a budget, anything, please let me know.
Thank you, Danielle. Trent, as always, brother.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And, good deal.
Good episode.
Great.
Thanks, Danielle.
Yeah.